Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be taking a look at a pretty cool little new GPS drone from Snaptain. Let me show you the box here. This is the SP500. As far as I know, this is the very first GPS drone that Snaptain has ever released. It does have a 1080p camera that films at 24 frames per second, which is a decent frame rate. I like to see 30, but 24 is doable. Anything slower than 24 will get very shuttery. GPS return to home, waypoints, which really doesn't work the greatest because, at least for me, I couldn't get the maps to load. That's common on these toys though. Point of interest, which is circle me mode, follow me mode. It has hand gestures, which is a little spotty on this one. I didn't have any luck in the flight review with it, but I did get it to work in my test flight though before this. One key, takeoff and landing, return to home. You can also fly in ADI mode, which is no GPS. It does have headless mode too, which is kind of pointless on a GPS drone. And you've got that it's foldable, of course. So that's pretty much all that's on the box. But you know, it does come packaged nicely, and then I'm not going to show it to you, but there's foam inside there where everything fits into it, more like a professional drone would be packaged. So it's well protected upon shipment. So here is the drone. I already have it unfolded, but as you can see, the arms fold in here. So you can fold this drone in and out, and it does snap out and hold into its position on the arms, so they don't get knocked loose as easily as some of the foldable drones. This is just brushed motors, so it's not going to be, you know, the power of a brushless, but it does a pretty good job for a brush drone. Here's a 1080p camera. You can swivel it how you want to point it, but that's all manual. It's not done through the remote, unfortunately. You do have two white LEDs here in the front, and that will help a little bit with orientation. There's LEDs under the bottom of each of these motor pods. I'll need to plop a battery in here to remember what those colors are. Here's the power button on top, and it looks like they are red in the front, and they are green in the back. So red in the front, green in the back. As you probably noticed there, it does come with two Lipo batteries. So let's take a quick look at those, and we'll go back to the drone since we're moved on to that. These are, I think they're 1000 milliamp Lipo batteries. These are 2S though, 7.4 volts. So it gives you a little extra power for a brushed drone. A lot of these drones at this size just use 1S Lipo, so it's really nice that it has 7.4 volts. It charges off of a micro USB port here, and they do give you two chargers here. That's really nice. I like that. They have a green flashing light and a red light, and I think it goes solid green and the red goes out when it's fully charged. I think that's rated like 2.5 hours to charge. So my first charge wasn't that long. I think they probably came a little more fully charged. But if you completely discharge the battery, it's going to take 2 to 2.5 hours. But at least you got two chargers, so you can charge both of them up. The runtime is rated at 15 minutes. I've not calculated the runtime to when I decided to land it on. Well, it was almost a return to low battery, and I think it was, it's probably at least 12 minutes. We'll see in the flight video. I will put the total time at the end to see how close it came to 15 minutes. So back to the drone. It has a micro SD card slot here in the bottom right next to my thumb. That's nice. I don't have a card in it right now though. And I think it works up to 32 gigabytes. So you can initiate that recording through the app or the controller, and it will record it locally here on the card. So you don't have to worry about recording that cruddy Wi-Fi FPV feed, which is going to drop frames, even though this is 5G as it says here. So make sure you have a 5G or 802.11ac compatible phone. And any phone in the last few years will have no problem with that. That gives you a little bit better. There's no interference when you're flying. So, well, I shouldn't say there's no interference. There's much less interference when you're flying. There's no cross interference with your controller, which is also 2.4. Your interference here is mostly going to be 5G Wi-Fi routers in your neighborhood or wherever you're flying it. You just don't get, there's so much more 2.4 gigahertz stuff out there. So that 5G is nice because you don't get all the interference. It won't limit your range of the Wi-Fi or the controller having that cross interference that you see whenever you use 2.4 gigahertz. So that's really nice. I got in the flight review, it was around 200 meters and the Wi-Fi was choppy and froze. I actually lost the Wi-Fi and I had to reconnect it when it came back. Thankfully, my SD card kept recording, so I didn't lose the footage, but I did have to reconnect the Wi-Fi. It didn't actually do it on its own. But that's not bad, 200 meters for just a toy drone like that. In my test, I was at 180 and it seemed good. So it was just another 20 meters or so is when it started to become too far for the Wi-Fi. You get prop guards if you want to use those. I'm not a big fan. They're good tree hangers, but if you choose to use them, I wouldn't mess with these unless you're going to fly it into a large indoor open space like a gymnasium or something to protect those props. Here is the controller. This is actually a rechargeable controller. Here is the port for the micro USB. They give you a micro USB cable here, if I can grab it. And this is for charging it, and it actually has a light in it that will go green when it's fully charged. Mine came fully charged. So I plugged it in, the light just stayed green. So you do want to make sure you use this, because I think if you use just a regular micro USB cable, it's going to overcharge your battery in here. This is made to shut it off, so be sure you use this one. Lots of times these rechargeable controllers will turn themselves off, but I'm not certain that that's the case, because this actually tells you on the charger. So make sure you use that cable just to be safe. It has these little handles that flip out. That makes it really nice and comfortable. It's very lightweight, but it is a 3.7 volt lithium ion battery inside of here. So it's like I said, it came fully charged, but it seems to hold a good charge. You can see it here when you flip up the phone holder. You just press the on and off button here, and it looks like I still have full battery on it. Hold it down to turn it back off. It'll blink when it lets you know it's doing like a return to home or camera video. I didn't pay too much close attention to the blue lights. So those are on and off. Here's your turn to home. You press that, it will continually beep. The controller beep, beep. It beeps the whole time. Once it executes a return to home and lands, you still have to press that to turn off return to home, while the beeping will just continue. This is your headless mode right here, if you choose to use that, which I think is pointless on a GPS drone, because your orientation is a big deal on a GPS drone, because if you get mixed up, you just press return home. And your FPV feed, as long as it's working and you have a phone connected, you'll be able to tell your orientation with the phone. This lets you turn GPS on and off. It has two rates up here, high and low. There's more pitch and high, but the yaw is fixed. If you switch in the highest rate and the pitch increases some, in GPS, it's not a whole lot of change. But if you turn it off and go into ADI mode, which is just altitude hold only, you're going to get more pitch in the first rate and even more pitch in the highest rate. So your pitch increases, and of course your speed does. It does dive bomb a little bit, which is to be expected when you don't have GPS on, because it has so much pitch, you just can't quite hold its altitude. And here's your photo video, quick press for photo, and a long press for video. To take off, you do down and out to unlock the stick. So I have some problems. Seems like I almost have to go in and then out. It's weird. But unlock it, and then the props, once they start spinning, you press this and it will take off. Also press it if you want it to come on down and land. Before you fly, you should calibrate the compass and the gyros. In my test flight I just filmed, it did not make me do the compass calibration, but the first time I did it, it did. If you change locations, you should, but you don't have to do it every time. But it may, it depends on whether the app wants you to do it. But I would recommend, it doesn't hurt to do it every time on a toy drone, because you don't know how good it's going to operate compared to a professional GPS drone. So you just do a long press and it will beep. And then once it beeps, you just pick up the drone and the lights will be flashing. It lets you know, I think it was between front and the back, when you've completed each step. You just spin it horizontal 3 times, then go vertical and spin it 3 times. Set it down, make sure you're all connected, of course, and the app's connected, and the app will go away from, it'll say compass calibration. When it's done, it'll disappear, and it'll let you know that you've completed the compass calibration. The gyro calibration is long press, the lights will flash and stop, and of course that's setting level. So make sure you're on a level surface when you do that. And then you're good to go. Just wait in the app for a number to make sure you have sufficient GPS satellite. So let's go over the app really quickly here. I'm not connected to the drone, of course, so it's not going to be that big of, and not going to be that much information. But once you've connected to the Wi-Fi of the drone, you're going to go and you're going to find the Snaptain Nova app. And you want to make sure that SP500 is selected. It usually already has that. And once you've connected to the Wi-Fi and it sees it, and then you just go down here and you press on the start. And of course we have no feed right now, but you've got your options here. And you'll see this in the flight review, so it's going to be very quick when I go over this. You've got your return to home. If you want to use it from the app, you got your point of interest or circle me mode. Follow me mode, which that works really well. Both of these, circle me mode and return and follow me, both work really well for a brush drone. And up here you got some VR and the controls if you want to use the app to fly it. Make sure I don't get this out of center, guys, I'm sorry. That's your waypoints. And you got your photo video over here if you want to use the app to start it. This is something where you can use music on your phone to actually have it put music into your saved videos on your phone. And then you can like send it to people through social media or whatever, and it'll have music set to it. It's kind of a cool feature, but it's a novelty. And this is your gestures mode if you want to do the 2 fingers for pictures and the hand straight up for video. That did work in my testing, but it did not work in my flight review. But I didn't try it very long because, you know, we're limited on the battery time. I only had 1 battery charged. So I wanted to get it up in the air and do the range test and that, so I didn't have a whole lot of time to do that. Here is your GPS signal strength over here. And here in the settings, you can set these. I have this already different. Once you're connected, this would change to how you have it saved to the flight controller. But make sure you turn beginner mode off, set your distance and fly altitude and return home altitude how you want it. I have them all set up. The first 2 high, I have return to home height set to 30 meters. But make sure you do set those. I mentioned it in the flight review, but I didn't actually show that screen. And here is your controller battery, and here is your drone battery. When it gets low, of course, it will fly back and land. When it gets down to the critical battery level with 1 bar, like it shows now, it will cap your distance at 30 meters. And if you do return to home, it just flies back at whatever altitude you're at and lands there if you're within that capped 30. So keep that in mind, that when you're beyond that, it'll fly back at return to home height. But if you're really close, within 30 meters, at the very low critical battery, it's not going to go to return to home height. So make sure you don't have a tree or something in between you. When you do that, it'll fly right into it. Another thing it does strange though, when you do return to homes, like you'll see in the flight review, is it does this weird bobbing action as it flies back, and I don't know why that is. You'll see it hopefully in my head cam, but it's going to be difficult as small as it is in the sky, but you'll see it in the recorded video. I don't know if it's trying to gauge its GPS coordinate. I don't know what's going on. That's probably the only gripe I have with this drone, is when you do return to home, it's going to really butcher your video as it's bobbing as it comes back. It looks like a dolphin jumping through the ocean. I mean, I don't know, it's just really weird. So you'll see that, guys, in the flight review. So I use a screen recorder too in the flight review on the app, so you'll get to see all of the different commands and features as I press them in the Snaptain Nova app. So let's go about, and we'll go out to a flight review and we'll see what kind of flight time I got at the end. I'll put that up in text so we see the total flight time that we got on this drone and how well the features work in the camera, which again is pretty good. There's not a lot of jello. There's a teeny tiny minute amount of jello, but it does have a bit of extra smoothing, I would say. The camera tends to, there's not the best detail because it's trying to smooth that out. Also, if you fly this thing when it's really cloudy out or there's low light, you get a lot of noise speckles, which, you know, that's not uncommon on any camera. But I was surprised yesterday I had a decent amount of that just because it was cloudy out at this time of the day. But I flew it today in bright full sunshine, and I don't think that's going to be an issue. All right, guys, let's move along outside now for that flight review. So be right back. All right, guys, so let's take the Snaptain SP500 little brush GPS drone out for its test flight now. So I'm gonna go ahead and power it up, and we'll get it bound with the application and the controller, and we'll go ahead and we'll take it out now and fly it around and see how it performs. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna set it down on the ground here. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on. Got it on top of my launch pad here. That should be turned on. Go ahead and turn on the controller. I'd like this, even though it's lightweight, this rechargeable controller is quite nice, and it will just beep to let you know that it binds. You don't have to do the up and down binding sequence. And then what I want to do now is I want to go ahead and I'm going to connect it to the 5G Wi-Fi. So be sure that your phone does support 5G Wi-Fi, which is also known as 802.11ac Wi-Fi. And here is the Snaptain. I'll go ahead and press connect. I also like to turn on airplane mode, just because sometimes it seems like I have trouble getting Wi-Fi to show up in some of these apps if it's looking at the mobile data as well. It's letting me know, of course, that there's no internet. And let's go ahead and let's go into the Snaptain. Let's find a Snaptain Nova app. All right, so it's saying ready to fly, but you should do a compass calibration. The other day I think it wanted me to do it, but you don't always have to do a compass calibration. If it doesn't insist that you do it, if you're flying from the same location, then there's no reason to do it every time. But almost all these toys make you do it every time. But I'll just show you guys how to do it anyway. Hold down the the north south, that's your compass, until it beeps, and now it says compass calibration on the screen. I'll set down the controller. And we've got, these lights are very hard to see, but just go ahead and just rotate it here horizontally like 3 times or so, and then you can go, it doesn't matter, you can do it face up or face down, do it 3 times. It doesn't beep or anything. The lights will go solid here, and I think the way it's, now I got all of them are flashing. I think that means it's looking at GPS. But look at the app, and the app is all green, so that means the compass calibration was successful. And now you can do a gyro calibration. That's just gonna be holding down this button here. And the lights, I can see them flashing now. That's just calibrating level. So make sure you have it on level surface. If I did it up here in my driveway, then it would be telling the gyros that level is tilted by like 20 degrees, and that would not be good. It'd be leaning on you. So we should be good to go here. It says ready to fly. I've got 2 bars. That's why I think it's yellow and not green. It doesn't have full GPS locks. Let's just wait a moment and see if we get more satellites, because it's going to mark that location for its GPS accuracy. So if I take off with not a full set of satellites, that could affect its return to home accuracy, because I took off yesterday with green and it landed over here in the yard. It was not particularly great on its return to home. Now sometimes I've seen these drones, you get them up in the air and then the GPS, it may pick up better satellites a little bit off the ground. So it says ready to fly, but I'm not getting any more satellites. So we'll go ahead and take off and see what we get. Once we get going, we'll probably pick up some more satellites. So we'll try to test the features, and this thing has an advertised 15 minutes. I know I had it up in the air for at least 10 yesterday, and I still had 2 bars of battery. So let's take it up and try the hand gestures and take a couple photos. Then we'll take it out and do a range test. So let's go ahead and unlock the props. Sometimes I've had a little trouble with unlocking the props. There we go. I'm not sure why it's slow to get going when I do the out of the sticks. Then you can do your auto takeoff. You do have to unlock them with the sticks. Let's make sure it doesn't toilet bowl or anything too. Take it up a little higher. That looks good. There's a little bit of a breeze today from right to left, so that's going to obviously affect it a little bit. Let's turn it around. But even though it has GPS lock, it should be pretty easy to do this. I'm going to lower it down a little to do the pictures. So you press the hand gestures and say yes, and then you can do it here. Let's do the 2-finger peace sign and see if it'll take a photo. I don't see it doing anything there. I tried it yesterday and I got it to work. Well, I'm not sure if it's gonna work or not. Let's go ahead and we'll just do it with the, yeah, there, huh. Yeah, it's not doing it with the hand gestures. It's kind of bobbing up and down on me a little bit. I didn't have it do that yesterday. Huh. Well, let's go ahead and take another photo. Let's take it up and let's take one over there at the trees. Hand gestures to me is sort of a gimmick. Now, that's a pretty darn good breeze right now. And that's certainly going to affect a little brush drone like this. Let's take another photo. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and bring it down and we'll take back off again. This will let me sync up the video better. I'm going to try to manually land it there. Try to sync up the video so that I can get it synced up here. Though at 24 frames a second and I'm filming at 60, there's a good chance it is going to get out of sync, especially the mobiles and recording where, you know, it may be dropping frames over the Wi-Fi. Though I had a good Wi-Fi feed yesterday out of 180 meters, and I was still going when I decided to go ahead and do return home. We've got 3 bars in the GPS now. Let's go ahead now and we'll do a long press, and now we're recording video. Let's unlock the props. I don't know why this is finicky on me. Yeah, getting those props started. And go ahead and do auto takeoff. Let's take it out now. We are in the lowest rate. There's the yaw. There's the highest rate. Yaw is fixed. But as you see here, there's the pitch on the lowest rate, and there's the pitch on the highest rate. Lowest, highest. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a slight increase in pitch. Now if we go to, if we turn the GPS off, this is GPS off, and look at that. That's just altitude hold or ADI mode. And I've turned the, I'll bring it back around here. Those trees are gonna make it kind of hard when it blends in with them. Go ahead and turn the rates down, and it kind of levels out. Now it goes more, see? That's hard to see, I know, guys. If I turn on GPS though, I'll try to do that while I'm flying. You'll see the pitch level out. See that? Whoa, now it's leveling out because it's trying to hold position, so it gives you less pitch. All right, let's go ahead and fly it out now and see what kind of range we get, because we got about 15 minutes of flight time at most on this bird, so don't want to do too much flying here and not be able to do it. Now, I didn't show you guys now, but in the app yesterday, I already did turn off beginner's mode and set the distances to max. That glare is probably really going to make it difficult right now, because I'm going to go up here a lot higher. I have the return to home set to 30. Let's get up. We're at 130 meters now. Just doing this here at my house because this is not too bad for. It does look like our Wi-Fi feed is frozen. So I'm out. Oh, there it came back. Out 191. Looks like it's frozen again. So I'm thinking around 200 meters. Had it 180 yesterday and it was good. Now I've got it back again. So it is getting really choppy. 200 meters is probably going to be your range on this guy for your Wi-Fi. So let's go ahead and press the return to home. And your controller is going to beep at you non-stop, which is a bit annoying. Now I'm going to walk back here. When it comes back, and I can see it here, it does this weird bob, bob, bob. I don't know if you guys can see that because the sun is going to make it difficult. It's midday, it's right around noon. Boy, there it does it. It's bob, 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 bob. Not so bad today. Well, yeah. It kind of bobbles, and if you're recording video, it's probably going to make that video a little more difficult to use because it's going to be bobbling. You'll see that in the recorded video here. It does this weird bobble as it comes back. And honestly, that was about my only complaint with this drone, was the little bit of a bobble it does on return to home. It also, yeah, and the FPV feed is frozen up, so hopefully we still got video recording to the SD card. In fact, I just got a notification on my phone, makes me think that we lost the Wi-Fi though. So I may have to reconnect. Let's see here. That's going to be, well, that's much better than yesterday. Now you want to go ahead and cancel, return to home, and get rid of that beeping. And let me see what's going on here, because I've got it completely frozen up. All right, so let's go ahead and start recording video again. Long press, and it is flashing this recording. Let's go ahead and see if we can get the props to unlock. I don't know, when I go in and then back out, then it unlocks them. I don't know what's up with that. Let's go ahead and take off. So what I want to do now is I want to show you guys, follow me. We've got half a battery, so I don't want to run down too much here. Waypoints, the map didn't want to load for me, which is common for these toys. They almost all do that, so it's hard to even do waypoints. Let's just go ahead and press the follow me button here. Follow me, yes. I'm gonna start walking. And it's gonna turn, I think, well, I don't think it has to. It's just gonna follow me down the street here. Walk backwards so you guys can see the drone. It was working yesterday. Boy, it's kind of bobbling, but there it goes. Let's go this way. So as I was mentioning a while ago, when you're doing that, if you're going to do any kind of distance test, make sure that you've got the beginner's mode off and your distance, altitude, all that set to max. And I had the return to home set to 30 meters. So let's walk back this way now and see what it does. And it's moving with me now. Yeah, follow me worked just fine yesterday. There's a little bobby there. It just that bobbing. I'm not sure what's up with that. Just like on return to home, seems to be a little bit of a bobber when it's doing automated stuff. But boy, it's working really good there. Let's come over this way and see if it follows me. Yeah. Let's go ahead and stop the follow me. Let's try taking it up a little higher. And let's set, let's do, it's called point of interest mode, which is actually just circle me mode. If I can get it to click. I like to set, I'm going to set like a radius of like 10 meters. Oops. Done. Click OK. It's going to fly out and it's just going to start circling. So if you're standing next to something that you want to have it circle, and you're right there with it, you just set that radius up and let it go. I got it up higher so I know it doesn't fly into my house. And there it goes. It's flying a 10 meter radius. As it goes around there. And it's a nice circle. Let's back up for the mail carrier coming. Not bad. Making a nice circle there. So basically it's like a 20 meter diameter, 10 meter radius. All right, let's go ahead and cancel that. And then it stops. We'll fly it over. We still got a half a battery on there. Now I do think when it gets kind of low, it does start to limit how far you can go. I think it'll put like a geofence. I don't remember what that is offhand. 30 meters, I forget what it is. If you're really close, of course, it's just going to, if you're really close to the home point, it's just going to land. It's not going to try to execute a return to home. Make sure you get that return to home distance, return to home height set good and high. I think it's set to 20 or 25 meters. See, it's hitting a geofence there. Look at this. It's flying back. I am out 30, like I said. It's at critical. You're getting close to critical battery, and now it's geofenced me to 30 meters. I cannot go beyond 30. It may temporarily, and then it corrects itself. See, that's a safety feature, so you don't fly it out too far, and then it can't make it home. So we'll fly it here until it, I believe it will try to fly back if I'm out a little ways. If I'm really close, it may not. Again, now I'm out 30 and it's geofencing me. So Just want to see what kind of flight time we get on this guy. This close, it may not even return home. It's just going to land itself. Nice flyer though. Overall, this is a good one. Snaptain lately has had some issues with some drones. They do, you know, the SP500 was a great flyer, long flight time, but it had some sort of SD card issue. Just had some hits and misses, and this is definitely, it looks like a hit. It's not perfect, but boy, it's for a brush GPS. It does just about everything you want. I'd like to see it fly back to home or return to home without bobbing like that, because it's really going to butcher your video, because it's already bad enough because it's not stabilized, you know, all these toys, and then you have to be flying back to home, and it's gonna keep bobbing on you and making the video even more unusable. But flies nice though. I'm going to take it out about 30 meters there. It says drone low voltage, so of course it's letting me know it's about ready to land. This is about as long as you're going to want to fly this thing anyway, especially that you're geo-fenced in at 30 meters. Let's see if I press return to home. Will it fly back at that altitude? Looks like it's going to. So at this low voltage, it didn't even raise up to its return to home height. It figures within 30 meters of the home spot, I believe, that you're going to not have any obstructions that close. Keep that in mind. If you've got something like a huge tree right next to your takeoff spot and you are capped at 30 meters, it's not going to raise up because it thinks that you should have a clear area within your home spot location. It would fly itself right into a tree because there's no obstacle avoidance. So keep that in mind. But if you're out the normal full amount of battery at your normal long distances, it will rise up to whatever preset distance, height, altitude you have for return to home. Just not when you get the critical battery and you're capped at that 30 meter distance. All right, guys, let's go ahead and stop recording the video so that gets saved and that's stopped. All right, guys. Well, that wraps up the review of the Snaptain SP500 GPS drone. Overall, this is not a bad little drone. You know, make sure that you check. Snaptain's always good about including coupons, so if this does interest you, make sure if there's a coupon you clip it. And you know, if you can get this drone for around $100 or so, it's probably worth it. But above that, it's going to become a bit of a risk because you can start to get brushless stuff and things with gimbals for not much more. That's going to get you a far superior video. But the 5G did pretty good at 200 meters. The video became very choppy, and of course I lost the Wi-Fi, so hopefully we got some usable video there. All right, guys, that wraps up the review of the SP500 GPS drone. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you know when I do upload new videos. And as always, guys, have a great day.
The power of the dark side.